Okay, so to go back to the Green Mile, if you look at it, I mean, at a certain point, um, when you say, if you notice that this John Coffey hasn't interacted with a single black person in the film, and I wanted to say to John Coffey, had he talked to me, I'd be like, John, go to church. Shit. Talking about you can't take it no more and you want to die. You want to, basically commit suicide. And so they're sitting in this cage, and he's like, no, please, I want to die. What's your last wish? He has this huge meal and some cornbread. I smell me some cornbread. I love slave talk. I mean, I'll go into it in a different video, but I loved it. And this man said he wanted to see him a flick show. So he goes to see Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, I guess it was, talking about, heaven, I'm in heaven. And in the movie, what was even more telling about how white supremacist it was, he's like, they's angels, like up in heaven. And since he show he's going to heaven, that's who he gonna see in heaven. Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire, that's what this big black man who's seen all the world's sorrows, that's what he wants and that's what he sees. This is what I'm saying, why I think that Green Mile had a couple of narratives going on, because I think that that's so ridiculous that actually is. I actually felt that the whole movie was a critique on how ridiculous it is when we choose death over life when faced with a life or death situation. The Green Mile being an allegory for the path before us, for our nation. Greenback. Do we always choose to stay in line, or do we choose to resist? Do we choose life, which means fight, or do we choose death? Put someone on death row. Do we choose to, let ourselves be executed as opposed to running away? Do we choose to kill the mouse as opposed to just letting the mouse live? There were always these life or death choices being set up in that movie, and constantly people chose death. And so you saw that everyone who chose death, you saw their consequences. Either they died, or like Percy, they were, committed for life, or like the so-called main character Tom Hanks, who had to live for a long time with loss, losing everybody that he ever loved, but living a very long time and never being able to reconcile with that. And it's the same thing that I would have said to him at the end of the movie: go to church. When I think goodness of Jesus and all he's done for me, how he died on Calvary and how he set me free, I could dance, 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 dance all night, all day, all night, always. Can you imagine John Coffey dancing around, he getting out of that cage and just releasing all that out? I think he'd have ran away. The best Tom Hanks could have come up with was, do you want us to let you run away, set you free? Come on now. You're going to set free a big black man in depression in the Jim and Jane Crow South. Where's he going to go? That was his plan. But this is what I'm saying. Had they been listening to Bessie Smith up in there, had they had them some blues up in there, they'd have been like, you know what? Um, we gonna do something, because I mean there are actually white abolitionists who could shuffle slaves along on the Underground Railroad, but you saying this white man was under such surveillance that he couldn't even do something that he felt was a miracle, that he believed in, to actually save someone's life. That's how weak he was. He chose death. And that's why he had to live with those consequences, i.e., choosing to see the rest of his life as a punishment, as opposed to reconciling it. But can you just see an alternative ending to that movie? If it were really, steeped in this tradition of the blues sentiment, as Cornel West talks about, that you see clearly in The Color Purple, that is so absent um, in The Green Mile. I mean, if it had just come to that, Celie would have killed herself. Shit. She'd have jumped in front of the train, jumped off a train. Sophia, same thing. Squeak, Suge, all of them. They wouldn't have never have, got over. How I got over, how did I make it over? My soul, look back and wonder, how did I make it over? That's the blues, that's what I'm talking about. And I think when some people hear that, soon I will be done with the trouble of the world, they think that we're saying to them, please kill me, boss. I don't want to live no more. I want to meet my Jesus. No, that don't mean you can whip and lash. I give you permission to whip and lash me, and you can take me off this planet. Like in the Green Mile, where John Coffey's like, Elsa, put me in the chair, put me in the electric chair. Giving him moral authority, and that's what I'm talking about. The magic Negro gives white people moral authority at every step of the way in these questions. And it's ridiculous, and that's what the function is throughout. We're the moral character. I mean, even look at the Congressional Black Caucus in Congress. They say that they are the Congress's conscience. Black people are like the keepers of morality in America. And finally, when we sunk so low with George Bush, how immoral we've been, careless disregard for life, greed, anger, stupidity, then of course we had, not only did we need to get a black person, we had to get somebody who's from the continent, and luckily we did get somebody who listens to Stevie Wonder intensely, Songs in the Key of Life, fulfilling his first finale. You know what I mean? Thank goodness we did. Thank goodness we didn't get somebody who's just, I'm in heaven, simply heaven, dancing their bourgeois dreams away. That's the difference. That's the difference.